Hello, everybody. Welcome to Broadway.com's Live at 5. It is Monday, May 6th. I'm Beth Stevens.
And I'm Paul Wontorek.
And we're here with Caitlin Moynihan.
Hello.
And we have a Tony nominee in the house.
Another Tony nominee. We're on a roll with Tony nominees here.
Camille A. Brown is here.
She's so talented.
Yes, give her a round of applause, please.
Yes.
She was a choreographer for Choir Boy, and also Once on This Island. I'm not going to let you
Which
forget
literally
that.
anyone who watches this knows we are totally obsessed.
Obsessed. And we have a lot to talk about with her, but first, our top 5.
This musical is coming back to Broadway.
Yes, it is. 1776.
Very patriotic musical.
It's about exactly what you think it's about. It's a musical about the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It premiered on Broadway in 1969. It won the Tony for Best Musical. And then it came back in 97, a Roundabout revival. And now Roundabout will bring it back. Hold your breath in 2021.
Ooh.
I don't know. Will we still
This is like
be here?
this is a 2-year
Aliens will have
wind-up.
replaced us at that point.
Diane Paulus, the wildly inventive director, Diane Paulus, will be reimagining 1776. It'll be interesting to see what she comes up with. It's premiering. We talked about this before.
We did.
It's premiering up at ART, where she is artistic director.
Up in Cambridge, Mass.
Yep, and now they've announced, so that's happening in May of next year. And then Roundabout Theater announced, hey, we're bringing it to Broadway. So
Awesome.
A lot of people will be heading up to Cambridge in a year to check this out. This is, of course, features a book by the fantastic Peter Stone and a score by Sherman Edwards. I know a lot of people who love this musical.
They did it at Encores not too long ago.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I mean it's a show people know, and it's done like in community theaters everywhere.
Yeah, because
But now it's coming back to Broadway.
It's our country's history.
What else? Well, so she's also directing Jagged Little Pill.
Yes, she
right?
is.
And that also started at ART. So anyway, we're very excited to see
it's the
what
pipeline.
Diane
It's the ART to Broadway pipeline.
It is. It's a thing. So we're excited.
And you have 1 week more to see this Arthur Miller classic.
Arthur Miller's All My Sons is speaking of the Roundabout, is playing at the American Airlines Theater, and they've extended their run by 1 week. They were originally going to run through June 23rd, and now you have until June 30th to catch this limited engagement featuring Tracy Letts, Tony nominee Annette Bening, Tony nominee Benjamin Walker, and many more. Great production directed by Jack O'Brien. So there you go.
And the band's visit just keeps on winning.
Yeah, I mean, you may think the band's visit, now that it's no longer on Broadway, is not going to keep winning awards.
You're wrong.
But you're wrong, because they just won a Daytime Emmy Award for their number they did on the Today Show, which happened the morning of the nomination announcement. So it was their live,
In 2018.
In 2018,
A year
right?
ago.
Oh yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah,
Good
and they
timing.
sang "Answer Me," obviously the fantastic Adam Cantor and the rest of the company. So yeah, this is so cool that Broadway shows are winning all sorts of awards, and this is how you EGOT and do things
This is
like
how
that.
you EGOT.
Yeah,
This is how
it's
you
a thing.
EGOT,
Yeah.
David Yazbek.
So anyway, the show ended in April, and I'm sure you're missing it, but you can watch that Emmy-winning performance on YouTube on a loop if you want.
In a loop, yes. And congratulations are in order for these fresh Lucille Lortel Award winners.
Yeah, so I can't say it. The Lucille Lortel Awards were last night.
Yes, they
This
were.
honors the best of off-Broadway. Big winner was Carmen Jones.
Yes,
Yay.
Anika Noni Rose won.
Anika Noni Rose won, and so did the production, which was at Classic Stage Company. Antoinette Nwandu's Passover won for play, and Tony winner Gabriel Ebert also won. Be More Chills and our Broadway.com vlogger George Salazar also won for the off-Broadway incarnation of that show, and the Yiddish Fiddler on the Roof won, and Steven Skybell, who was recently seated right here, also won. Congratulations to all those winners.
You know, there was talk about that Carmen Jones maybe having
A little longer
future,
life.
So I'll be curious to see.
You
if
never know.
anything- I don't
You never know.
You know, some Lortel Awards.
It's very exciting.
And we got a new vlogger coming at you guys this week.
We do. We have a repeat new vlogger.
Yes,
one
she's
of our
coming back.
favorites, Eva Noblezada, who is celebrating her second Tony Award nomination for starring in Hadestown, will return to the vlogging scene. Does she get a new camera?
She did.
Okay. So she was a vlogger for
took care of
us
her.
during Miss Saigon, and her vlog was called American Dream, and I suggested we call this vlog American Dream 2.
But that was
That
nixed.
was shot down.
Yes.
And instead we're going to call it Songbird because of
Little Songbird.
Hey, little songbird.
the Patrick Page
That's the
song.
Patrick Page.
He sings this.
I'm
whole
sorry
night.
to all of you people listening to the
It's
podcast.
really hard to like. I have a pretty deep voice, but Patrick Page
Patrick Page.
just naturally talks like that.
It's his thing. Yes, Little Songbird
anyway,
will be the
Little
name of it. It launches on May
Little
9th,
Songbird will premiere this week.
Thursday.
Oh my God, Beth!
Exciting. And
Yeah.
it will run every Thursday for 8 weeks.
For 8 weeks, and of course, everyone's talking about Hadestown. Has 14 Tony nominations. It's sort of the
Good stuff.
So you're going to get a real peek at life backstage.
Yeah.
Above ground and down, way down.
Way down.
And, and Andrea Shields better be up in that vlog.
That's all
Just
I have
saying.
to say. What else do we have on the
Get
site?
to it, Eva. I want an Andrea Shields exclusive. I want like some real exclusive peek.
I want him to do his
All
thing
right,
on the
work on
vlog.
that.
We'll get to that. We have something else you should check out on Broadway.com, which is we have a Building Broadway with David
Featuring
Corrins.
our set designer.
Did you know he
designed
designed our
this
set?
Corins.
In case you didn't know that, or this is your first
'Cause
time
we mention
watching
it all
live
the
at
time.
5, but he did the scenic design for Beetlejuice, and he really gives us some insight.
Tony nominated.
Tony nominee. He gave us some insight into his inspiration, but which is of course Tim Burton's work, but also he is so witty and he always has little Easter eggs in his work. So watch that to find out what they are in Beetlejuice.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, little secrets.
Okay.
That's what they call them. They call
All
them
right.
Easter
I
eggs.
know they do. They do.
Hey, Paul, thank you.
I'm out.
Happy Monday to you. Will you please tell us about our guest, Camille, Caitlin?
Gladly. Yes, we have Miss Camille A. Brown here with us in the studio today because she just earned her first Tony nomination for her incredible choreography in Choir Boy. Choir Boy earned 4 Tony nominations. How incredible is that? She made her Broadway debut choreographing for the Tony-winning Once on This Island, like we said, is near and dear to our heart. She's currently working on Much Ado About Nothing for the Summer Shakespeare in the Park, Roundabout Theater's upcoming Tony Stone, and a little thing called Magic Mike. Maybe you've heard of that. Make sure you follow her on social media at Camille A. Brown and leave all of your questions in the comments below. Please welcome Camille and Beth.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hi, Camille.
Hi.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm a little nervous because I'm in awe of you.
Oh.
You're so talented.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations on your Tony nomination. Well deserved. How did it feel to get a Tony nomination for your work on a play?
I didn't believe it. I was asleep when the nominations came out. I just wanted to be at peace no matter what. And my best friends called me screaming, saying I had a nomination. And it took me about 4 times to ask them
What is happening?
what's happening, and this can't be real. And it was extremely exciting, and I just immediately felt gratitude to Trip Goldman, the director, and Terrell Alvin McCraney, the book writer, and for the guys.
Gorgeous guys in the
Yeah.
Choir Boy doing such amazing work. Let's talk about your inspiration for the movement in Choir Boy.
Yeah, well, immediately, Terrell Alvin McCraney, what he did so beautifully was really interlaced spirituals inside of the
Right.
work. So I was able to think about the historical context of what we were doing, but also the present day. Where are these men? How do they place themselves in 2019? And immediately, I came up with honoring South African gumboot, which is a social dance, and
That's
also
the dance
step.
where they use like wellies, like
The
rain boots, right?
gumboots are the boots, and the miners, the
stomping.
South African miners, were doing that because they were restricted to speak. They couldn't talk to each other.
Ah, I
So,
see.
and it's also reminiscent of Juba, which is an African American social dance that started during slavery. So I just wanted to tie the two and give an honor to like HBCUs and STEP.
By the way, you guys, go down a YouTube spiral of so historically black colleges and universities, their step shows, which they're sort of stepping
Yes.
in Choir Boy as well.
Yes.
With a lot of clapping, a lot of full body dancing.
Yep.
You can spend hours watching
Yeah,
those
I mean,
step
the
shows.
body is an instrument, so how do we use our hands to create music? And that's really what it's about. And also honoring where we are, how we're moving forward, honoring the past and our place in present day.
That's awesome and amazing. You have always in your work seemed to want to link up historical movement with whatever's happening in your work. Tell me about why that's important to you.
I mean, I've always loved history, and I think as a choreographer, it's important for me to have the origins, understand the roots of things in order to springboard into something else. So they're always linked, especially if I'm diving into something that has a really specific cultural context. You know, I think it's a little dangerous for me not to do that. So it's really like part of the process.
So tell me about your process in terms of, obviously you do your research, and then how do you come up with your work in terms of the constrictions, is that the right word, of a play versus what you're doing with your dance company?
Well, the first thing specifically with working with Choir Boy, I asked the guys, how do you feel about singing these songs? So sometimes it just starts from a feeling and a place, and we kind of figure out what the intention is, and once we understand the intention, then we start moving. And it's pretty much the same with my dancers as well. It could be sometimes tedious in my company. I know that it can be very challenging for the dancers because I'm always working and crafting, which I can't really take so much time on musicals and a play, but I have to say that Trip really gave me the space to share my vision and my story and how do I place myself as a Black woman, and how do I give voice to these Black men.
Okay, but these aren't necessarily all dancers.
No.
Some of them are. Some
Right.
of them are.
Yes.
So how do you sort of bridge that vocabulary with someone who's not a trained dancer like your company of people?
Well, we just talk about the various forms or ideas of what people think dance is, because if you're not a dancer, immediately people go, oh, I can't do it. And I ask them, well, what do you think dance is? First thing that comes to mind, flips, turns, they start describing that.
Stuff, yeah.
And then I start talking about the other form of dance that actually comes from the community, that is inside of all of us. So I say, okay, now if this is coming from the community, then you can't say that you don't know how to do it because it's already inherently a part of you. So we start from that, and I think it's important to empower everyone and to find their own space and not trying to create or step into something that is not them, but this is because of them. And I'm really inspired by people's choice making.
Okay, Camille, take me back to Queens.
Okay, Jamaica Queens.
Jamaica Queens, shout out. You've said in many places that your mother was absolutely obsessed with musicals.
Yes.
Which musicals did you grow up with?
Oh, Insinkable Molly Brown, The Wiz. I just asked my mom what was the first theatrical experience I had, and she said The Met, Hansel and Gretel, when I was 4 years old. So it was a variety of plays, and I just was so blown away by it, and I didn't even know if I could have a role in it. So for me to sit here and talk with you is just really surreal.
I love it. I love it. All right, we're going to get to your questions, but first, I need you to tell everyone about your experience at The Lion King and how it sort of tangentially launched your career.
Okay, so that's Camille M. Brown.
Oh, no, but you were going to audition for The Lion King.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I don't mean you were in The Lion King.
Okay.
I know you were in
Yes,
The Lion King.
but that happens
This
all
is
the
before,
time. Yes.
No, I know you.
Yes. Okay.
Before,
But that's actually
while you were in
why-
line. Tell me
Really?
about being in line to audition for The Lion King.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually why I use my middle initial too, because
Right,
it's
you
Camille
gotta-
M. and Camille A. Brown,
gotcha.
and there's a Camille G. Brown too. So
Hello,
we've got
all
three.
of you Camille Browns. I hope
Hello,
you're
Hello,
watching.
everybody.
This is Camille A. Brown. She's first.
No. So sorry. What was the question?
So you
Oh.
got your sort of tangentially got your start by thinking you would audition for The Lion King. That's what I was.
Oh,
thinking about.
yes. I was online for the Lion King, and I ran into Tully Fowler, who was a dancer with evidence. And
So
he
you
s-
were
oh,
online to audition. Was it an open
I was
call?
online to an open call. Mm-hmm.
So let's just go back a little bit. So
Okay.
you grew up in Queens.
Yep.
You went to LaGuardia High School.
Yeah.
Fame.
Fame.
She's gonna live
I'm
forever.
gonna live forever.
Went to college.
Yes.
And then where else did you study?
Well, I first studied at Bernice Johnson, and then I went to Carolyn DeVore. And so that was pretty much, the Yale School, North Carolina School of the Arts. So
And this is pretty strictly modern dance that you were doing.
no, I had all kinds,
All
ballet,
kinds.
modern jazz, tap, African. So, I feel like I'm well-versed in a lot of techniques just based on the education that
And
I've
was
gotten.
Broadway dance part of that as well?
No, I just loved it and was always connected to it. And my mom, throughout all of the years, we just went to musicals. I didn't know how to get in because concert dance and theater are completely two different worlds.
Right.
So I was very fearful, and then also as a Black female, I didn't see as many reflections of who I am as a Black woman in the space. So I found myself having to dig for Katherine Dunham and Marlise Yerby and Diane
Marlise Yerby,
McIntyre.
who did Rent.
Yes. So it's and that was the last time that a Black woman was nominated. Marlise
Was
Yerby in Rent,
1996.
1996.
That's crazy. That's
Yep,
crazy.
in this category, yeah.
So these are some of the people that you looked up to.
Absolutely.
Now, something in your brain at some point was like, I'm going to audition for The Lion King.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had just graduated, and that was the first thing that came up. So I said, okay, well, I'll audition for The Lion King and get this audition kind of thing going. And Tully passed me, and we just kind of bumped into each other, and he said Ron Brown was looking for a woman. And I kind of like looked at the line, and it was wrapped around the corner. And then somehow I started hearing that this was like a singing call.
Oh, not a dance call.
So we backed up away from that. Yeah, because I definitely would have got cut for that. So
Not a singer.
No, not on stage.
Not on stage, just in the shower.
With lights.
Oh, no lights.
No
Just in
lights.
the dark.
Just yes.
In the club.
Yes, with earplugs.
For the other people or for yourself? It doesn't matter.
Everybody.
Everybody gets an earplug. Everybody gets earplugs. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Magic Mike, because so much of your work, as we've said, links up to some history. Once on this Island was a gorgeous representation of that, with the island and Haitian movement that you were looking at. What are you doing with Magic Mike? What's going on with Magic Mike? And can we all come with you to research?
Right. I think my friends, my family, everyone has asked if you need some people to assist. I think it's just been so wonderful to be in the space. Trip Coleman is also the director
the director
as
of
that.
Choir Boy.
And just like Jesus Christ Superstar, I'm going to just kind of unpack it and see what else is there other than stripping, because I think when you have revivals or things that are based on movies, you want to give people what they expect, but you also want to challenge people for what they don't expect. So we're kind of in the room, kind of getting ourselves together, figuring out what that is.
You just mentioned Jesus Christ. Well, first of all, yes, give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want.
And Channing Tatum is a co-producer on this, so
He
is he
is.
around?
I've met him once.
Maybe he can demonstrate for you if necessary. I'm just offering ideas.
You know, there have been many ideas that have been shared in the past months, so, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put it on the table.
Okay.
And I know there's been a little bit of a shake-up there with the writers, but I'm sure you'll get back on track
Yes.
and find some beyond stripping. That's what we're going to call it. Beyond stripping.
Beyond the
movement.
stripping.
Beyond the stripping. Let's talk about Jesus Christ Superstar live.
Yes.
What an exciting experience. But it seems to me that you were doing two things. You were doing television and you had an audience there.
Right.
So what was that challenge like for you?
Well, David Laveau, who was the director, I thought that he was really masterful in how he created the space. And he told us from the beginning that this was going to be a theater show, and he wanted to focus on what that meant and the intention. So the rehearsal process was like any other rehearsal for musicals. It was just when we got on set, that was my first time doing television. So I had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time.
I bet.
Yeah.
And it must have been similar in some ways to Once on this Island in the sense that there are cameras that could see the dancers from different angles,
Absolutely,
and Once on
yeah.
this Island was in the round, right? So
Yep.
you've got different perspectives to work with.
Yes, and I was actually creating a work for my own company while I was doing all of this, Once on this Island and Jesus Christ Superstar. So I kind of combined the process, and some of the sections in ink are actually circular too, because I was kind of in my mind like rehearsing and understanding like what does that mean to have a circular world.
That's amazing. All right, I know you all have questions, so we're gonna go to that right now. Caitlin?
Thank you. Yes. So Alec wants to know what it's been like. How did you approach choreographing for Choir Boy, which is a play, versus approaching, Once This Island, which is a musical? How does it change depending if it's a play or musical? How do you approach both those projects?
No, I don't think it changes. I mean, I think having an intention is always going to be the same. And then sometimes the content kind of tells you where to go. So that was Once on this Island was Afro-Haitian, West African, and then Choir Boy was, for me, I was thinking of the South African gumboot and the steps. So it's still about creating movement as a language. And how do you speak without saying words?
I love that.
Beautiful. Yeah. So Molly, you brought this up, but how does it feel to be the first person of color in so long to be nominated in this category? How does that feel for you?
I'm still trying to process it. I definitely honor it as a moment, and I am thankful to Marlise Yerby and all of the Black women that have come before me, who have paved the way for me to be able to have this platform, and it's my hope that young Black girls see me and want to do theater and want to be choreographers. And, it's all about reflection.
Is about identity and
Yeah.
about sort of being a role model. Do you feel like that's a challenge, or is that a burden for you to do that, or is that something that gives you energy?
It definitely gives me energy, and do I have a time for a little story? It's
Yes.
not
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Of course.
Okay. So I was working with some students. I think they were about 10 to 13 years old, and I was on the I had to teach the class, but like 5 minutes before the class, I was talking to my agent, and he was telling me that I didn't get a choreography gig that I was up for, and I wanted it really bad. So I'm emotional. So I was crying, and I was like, oh gosh, I have to teach this class. Oh no. So I said, okay, let me just kind of wash that away, go teach the class. And afterwards, the kids wanted to take pictures, and I just wanted to go back in my corner and start crying again. But I didn't want to disappoint them. And one of the girls asked for the picture, and we took the picture, and she walked away, and then she stopped and turned around, and I was so moved because she looked at me the way I used to look at other women that I looked up to. Mm-hmm. So immediately I said, this is not just about you. This is about something greater. So I don't see it as a burden. I see it as an important responsibility, but it's also a responsibility for me to let everybody know that there are other Black female choreographers working in theater and in concert dance. So I'm excited to say that and keep saying it.
I hope you do. Now, because this is Live at 5, if you tell us the projects you want to work on in the future, it will come true. So tell us which Broadway shows you want to work on in the future.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's like our little book of magic.
Magic.
Okay, well, my favorite musical is The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
I can feel it. I can feel it.
Okay.
I'm here
Okay.
for it. Number
Okay.
one. Make a list.
We're going to make a list. I love Serafina.
Oh, that's a gorgeous show from the late 80s about the Soweto riots.
Yes, and I love The Wiz.
We all love The Wiz.
Yes.
And would you want to do more TV, more live shows?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually want to direct and choreograph for theater.
Well, if you do, I shouldn't say if, when you do,
okay,
please come back. Because we
you.
love talking to you. Camille, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys, I know you can't see Choir Boy, but root for Camille Brown.
Yes.
She's so talented. And you can see your dance company.
Oh, yes. We just came from Abu Dhabi, NYU AD. So that was wonderful. And we're actually off for the summer, but I am going to be choreographing for the Met, Porgy and Bess, in the fall.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Camille. Caitlin, will you take us on out?
Gladly. Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single day. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts by searching for hashtag live at 5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when we talk to fresh Tony nominee Joe Iconis all about Be More Chill.